Hey, yo, Hector. Guys, listen, I know we have talked about these new commanders to death, but this is now the official Hector Ultimate Guide, okay? We are going to talk all about Hector because I used him probably more than anybody since he's been released. This is on my second account. Use him for Garrison. Use him in the field where we saw massive value for him in the field. And we're going to go through all that. We're going to go through the pairings, his skills, all the different things he does, and we brought the receipts. We've got all the reports, and we've got all the results from Report Manager. We'll go through all that as we talk about Hector, one of the most versatile commanders, just like Philip, just different in the game. So stick around while we break down everything when it comes to Hector. Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chatsky. I do videos all the time, and I love doing videos like this to do guides and different nuances in the game to help you become better players at Rise of Kingdoms. And with that, if you guys would be so kind, give this video a like, throw a thumbs up on it, really helps out the channel. And if you're not subscribed, consider doing so. You can hit that subscribe button, join the legion of people who are subscribed to the channel and getting great content as we grow this community. Also, you can hit the bell for any alerts when I put out videos like this. Okay, listen, I get it. We have talked about these commanders to death. Achilles, Hector, where's Gang Gang? He's around here somewhere. I got him down here. I don't even have maxed on this account. This is my infantry account. I have been fighting, if you've been following my channel, I've been fighting like crazy in this KvK that we're in. We just ended the KvK. Kingsland is taken, and we are cooking pretty good. And so from that standpoint, we use Hector to death. And I'm saying we use him to death. He is the Garrison of choice. All the kingdoms in this KvK, the infantry and the archer mains who were running garrisons ran Hector. We saw them all over the place. Gone are the days of Hera. Okay, Hera just gets wrecked by rallies. You don't want to run Hera, you want to run this guy. Okay, he is exceptional at mixed garrisons, and especially when you get into Kingsland. And a lot of people get a misconception sometime where you're trying to sustain flags. The best way to sustain is to fill your flags. And the best way to fill your flags is to dump anything you can in those flags to keep them alive. And Hector with Gorgo was fantastic. And we saw a bunch of CY Hector. I don't like it as much, and I'll explain that in a few, but it was run really well, and people were just dumping troops in it. And it was working. And it was hard to get those flags down. Trust me, we were rallying those flags, and it was very, very difficult. So we're going to go through all that stuff. But first and foremost, let's talk about his skills. First of all, Hector is a different type of versatile commander, okay? He's not like Philip. Philip has been the most versatile commander in the game. He has been, straight up. But he's got a situation where he's a massive amplifier. He does buffing, and he does all damage. He doesn't do any damage factor, like at all. He has a damage factor that comes with his instant proc, which makes him really good in the field. Like, instant damage is what we want, right? Okay, well, Hector might have some of that too. We'll talk about it. But more importantly, this was one of the first commanders that they gave us. It's a leadership commander, but has specific stats for specific troop types. You can run a mono troop, and in his third skill, if you have multiple troop types, he takes less damage and does more march speed. If you have him as a single troop type, he does a bunch more damage. So he amplifies whatever he's with, which is really good. We still really use him in the field, and you're gonna use him in the field because he's so versatile. However, Hector is just as versatile. He's just versatile in a different way. He's a damage dealer. He's not an amplifier, okay? So let's look at his skills. And when you look at his different skills, he is like 3 commanders in one. That's kind of what we said about Philip. You know, people use Philip behind Zuge all the time. People use Philip behind Arthur in combo damage all the time. People use Philip behind BQ. I love him behind Ragnar. It keeps Ragnar relatively relevant, if you will. So Hector's the same way, all right? Hector does the damage. He's a smite commander when he's with infantry. He's a combo commander when he's with cavalry and when he's with archers, or if he's a primary, he does skill damage. 2600 damage factor when he's smite, and he does a little buff, okay? 5 nearby allied troops take 5% less damage, okay? That's nowhere near a Philip buff, but it's just a little something extra while he's doing 2600 damage factor for smite. Okay, well, when he's with cavalry, he does a 2 combo effect that equals out to 2800 damage factor. Now, this is more of a debuff he does to where 5 targets take 5% more normal damage. Well, we're running a bunch of smite and a bunch of combo in the field, so this is always good. Having those targets that you're hitting take 5% more normal damage, which means they take 5% more damage from smite and combo. All in on that. As we all know, normal damage affects smite and combo. Okay, and then when he is a primary commander or he's behind Zuge or any other archer commanders, he does 2700 skill damage. Now, this is kind of an interesting thing because when you look at the different buffs, debuffs, and the debuff down here, this is probably the most potent one, I think, because he's going to have the enemy troops, like 5 targets of the enemy, they're just going to take 5% less damage total. Plus, they do they lose 15 rage per second for 3 seconds. Okay, all of these are 3-second buffs and debuffs. And so, really interesting situation. This is the first time ever that we've had a commander with 3 different types of damage. Of course, we have Arthur, and Arthur, as we know, is, as a primary commander, is a combo commander, and as a secondary commander is a skill damage commander. Well, he does all 3. Smite, combo, and skill damage. So that's why he's like 3 commanders in 1. Now that can be used, and we'll talk about that later, the versatility and what you can do with them, because I saw all kinds of reports and results when I ran him in the field. All right, so let's talk about the field a little bit, because the second skill all of a sudden brings more effect to the field. You get 20% march speed, just flat out. 20% march speed, that's great in the field. Now, he is not a field monster, okay? It's not like he does massive AoE for the field. However, he can be serviceable, and he can kind of be a stopgap if you're wanting to do different things in the field, and I'll explain that later. He's also got a 10% health buff and a 30% defense buff, okay? That's great. Always take more health and always take more defense. Now, when you put him with infantry, infantry already has a ton of defense, so you get a little bit of diminishing returns there, but it's still there. That's 60% of stat sticks. That's really good. It's on par with what we're seeing in this generation of commanders. His third skill, this is where it gets really interesting. This commander's troop takes 10% less normal damage. All right, so in a garrison, that's wonderful if you're getting hit with Subutai rallies and you're getting hit with Scipio Aemilianus rallies, so combo and smite rallies coming at you, you're just going to mitigate that damage 10%. Well, in the field, when you're getting hit with Arthur and Achilles and BQ and Luce and William Wallace and all these commanders that do smite and combo, that is a great little mitigation of 10% less normal damage. Awesome. Now, when you're attacking troops on the map, now that can be a rally or any march on the map. So basically, when you're attacking any troops on the map, just not a garrison, one of the following effects will trigger based on the talents of the primary commander. If you put him as an infantry commander behind an infantry primary, all right, anytime you deal smite damage, there's a 50% chance that damage will increase by 15%. It can trigger up to 3 times per second. Okay, this is really easy to explain. If he's behind BQ, BQ does 5 target AoE. Of those 5 targets, there's a 50% chance that 3 of those targets will take 15% more damage of the original damage of 2400, right? That's what that basically means. So just a little bit of an amplifier when it comes to our boy Hector and what he does for the smite commanders he's behind. If you're cavalry, okay, the one thing I don't like about that is a cooldown of 10 seconds. I don't like this 10 seconds, and it is really, really hard to kind of understand and figure out how smite damage, and you're enhancing that, but you have a cooldown of 10 seconds. I don't like that, but it is what it is. Okay, when he's with cavalry, he launches a basic attack. Wait a minute. You put him with cavalry, he becomes a combo commander, and he has a 20% chance to launch an extra combo attack. Hey, yo, 400 damage factor? That's not nothing. And since this can trigger up to 3 times in a second, that means that none of that's mitigated. That just means you're putting up to three combo attacks on the target with a 400 damage factor for all 3 if you get 3 of them. And you start running Butterfly, you start doing some of the things that combo commanders can do with their inscriptions. You're gonna ramp this thing up. So now you got an instant proc effect. Okay, well that's what makes Philip really, really good, and why we like Philip is because he's got one of the best instant procs in the game. But Philip's only got a 3-second cooldown on that. However, if you're just trying to do as much damage as possible right off the rip, this is a great skill to have when he's behind a cavalry primary. Otherwise, he's going to be behind archers, or he's going to be the primary himself. And whenever the troop inflicts a debuff on an enemy troop, it takes 5% less damage for the next 10 seconds. This effect can stack up to 2 times, and its duration resets whenever you get another stack. So we can easily put a 10% buff, or debuff, I should say, on the enemy, that it takes 10% less damage for the next 10 seconds, okay? When the troop inflicts a debuff on the enemy troop. Well, you're debuffing the enemy all the time based on his active skill. So as you debuff the enemy, you're gonna set this up, okay? Your troops take 5% less damage, all right? So it's when you put a debuff on, you get a buff, and you can run that up to 10% less damage if you're staying in a sustained fight. Okay, pretty cool. Pretty cool little interesting combination for his 3rd skill. All right, now his 4th skill, this is where it gets really interesting for the garrison and in the field. If this commander's troop's primary commander has infantry or cavalry, every second their troop has a 50% chance to gain a 20% bonus to normal damage dealt for 5 seconds with a cooldown of 7 seconds. Well, a 5-second buff, and that's gonna have high uptime at 50%. A 5-second buff is going to really help because the cooldown of 7 seconds, you don't really have much of a cooldown at all. The cooldown starts when the buff starts. And so from there, that is one of those things that's really, really potent. And for the garrison, it's exceptionally good. Anti-swarm, enhancement, everything it does when he's behind Gorgo. All right. Otherwise, when he's a skill damage commander behind archers, or he's a primary, every second you're going to have a 50% chance to gain a 30% bonus to skill damage for 5 seconds. Okay, that's really good, and that's probably why a lot of the CY Hector garrisons really did well. You're basically trying to boost your own or bonus your own skill damage that Hector does. Now we all know CY does true damage, so there's a little bit of disjointed of deficiencies there because he's not really giving any kind of bonus to CY. CY over here is not a skill damage commander. He does true damage, all right? But it still works anyways, and that's why they ran it so much in Kingsland. And so that's what you got for his 4th skill. Really pretty cool. Then his expertise, if you're running 1 troop type, you deal 10% more damage. If you're running 2 or more troop types, you take 10% less smite, combo, and skill damage. Okay, that is a good mitigation. And let me explain. When you're running him mixed, a lot of the times you're trying to sustain. You're trying to keep a flag alive. You're trying to keep the pass. You're trying to build a fort. If you're running him with mixed, you're going to do more tankiness, if you will. If you just want to hammer this thing and run a mono troop type, which we did plenty of that, and it wrecks. Like, it performs like Gorgo Toku. It wrecks. You get 1 troop type, all of a sudden you're doing a lot more damage. You're doing 10% all damage. And so from there are 2 different ways to run that. That's why he's so versatile when it comes to mixed garrisons. But if you're in the field, you're just doing 10% more damage. That's awesome. 10% damage. We'll just take it. Okay, so those are the skills with him. Very versatile. And we talked about how that thing ran. Now, I'm gonna bring up this situation when it comes to these reports. And as I pull this thing up, okay, this was basically a large sample of my entire KvK. I tested freaking everything in this KvK. Now you got to remember, this is my 2nd account, so I don't have like busted stuff like I do for my main account, okay? I've got I'm not gonna say vanilla, it's really good, but it's more to the liking of a situation like a lot of players out there. And let me explain. When I run Achilles, I don't have this, I don't have my weapon critted. There's nothing that's tier 5. There's no critted accessories, okay? When I run them with Achilles, I've got this going on right now that is far from meta. It's really good, but it's far from meta, all right? Now, when I run them with my BQ, oh boy, all right, I've got crazy stuff. This is my Garrison set, right? And then when I run them with my pincer, it's got cracked stuff. Now, if I run them as a second pincer, I don't have crazy stuff, right? I run 3 infantry accounts or 3 infantry marches on this account. And even though I got good crits here, there's no tier 5 stuff except for my greatest glory. It's like there's no tier 5 stuff. Okay, and so from there, that kind of helps you see this. And the same thing with my archers. I'm missing a couple of crits over here on the horn. Nothing's tier 5. It's nothing crazy, but I'm going to show you how this thing worked out for Hector. If you see here, these are all my marches, but look at Hector right there. He's the 4th one down. When I decided to go with a 2 combo setup because I got fed up with Cav's skill damage and I switched to go to 2 combo cavalry marches, I only run 2, so now I just do combo. I don't even do skill damage for cavalry. Huo, you're benched. Nevsky, you're benched. Joan, you're benched. Not running you. I ran Hector behind Achilles, and look how well it did. Okay, trading at 129%. That's Achilles with Hector, y'all. Okay, so I started seeing value in Hector in the field. And so I ran him with Achilles, and I ran him with BQ, and I ran him with Luce. Now, in this particular chart, I put the BQ and Luce pairings down here at the bottom because I did not have enough of a sample. If you see here, now with the BQ fill-up, I had a ton of a sample, and it did amazing, BQ fill-up. But look what the Luce Hector did at the bottom. 158% over here on the right side, 168% on the kill points. Look what the BQ Hector did. Now, I only had 16 tours with this, but it's got my crazy gear. Hector has viability in the field. He's a combo commander if you want to run him with Achilles or Arthur. And he's a smite commander if you want to run him behind BQ or Luce. He's fantastic. He's great to do that with. Now, am I saying go max him? No, I'm not. But I'm just showing you so everybody understands that Hector is great in the field. March speed, high damage, single target doesn't make him a field monster, but you can see him at the top. When I actually had a large sample of 179, I had Achilles and Hector, and it cooked. It really did well. And so from there, it really shows his versatility. Now, when you come to Hector, we talked about it, combo, smite combo, and skill damage, and that's how that stuff works. And so with that being said, we had to kind of figure this thing out when it came to the Garrison. Now, the Garrison is where this thing really, really works. So as we look at him with the Garrison, okay, I only ran him with Gorgo. And most of the time it was with mixed, okay? So let me pull up these report managers for you. And you got to understand, if I'm on my PC, I collect all that data. If I'm at home and I'm doing it on my iPad and on my phone and stuff like that, I don't get that data. But I also had great reports when I was at home on my iPad or my phone. But if you pull this up, this is what this thing did, okay? And so from there, through 35, you can see 35 Garrison defenses I did with the tours on the left. Look what he did. The power ratio off the charts. Now you see the kill ratio is like at 102%, but the power ratio is at 129%. This is why this is important, okay? It's because we filled mix with T4s like crazy. Just throw the farms in there, put your siege, put your archers, put your K, it doesn't matter. Put anything you want in there. And that's why the power ratio was 129%. That's what you want, okay? I also ran Gorgo with Toku. Now you got to keep in mind, understand this. Gorgo and Toku, I ran mixed as well, okay? And in fact, let me go ahead and just do this. I'm gonna do this by power ratio, so you kind of see. Gorgo Hera, I ran a couple of times, but it got kind of smashed. I didn't want to do it. Gorgo Toku, we ran mixed, so it's not going to perform very well. Okay? And then I just left Toku on the bench. I love Toku. And I've got as much copium as anybody when it comes to now nerfing my Toku with Gorgo, because I ran that all the time. But Hector was just more versatile. and better. And I loved it with mixed. And so as we were doing mixed garrisons, you're seeing this is all mixed garrisons. And Gorgo Hector trades positive. What? Mixed garrisons are trading positive? Yep, they are. And that's why it's so important. And that's why that versatility works. So with that being said, you've got some viability, obviously, with Hector for infantry. But here's the other kicker to this. And this is what you got to understand. And more people are going to start maxing Hector because us Cav simps, like on my main, David is an AoE combo garrison. Holy jeez. Are you kidding me? Yes, I'll have all of that. But when you look at David's kit, okay, his third skill has nothing to do with cavalry. His fourth skill has nothing to do with cavalry. His expertise has nothing to do with cavalry. The only thing that has to do with cavalry is his cavalry defense bonus. Great for tankiness. 35% defense for Cav is wonderful. However, you're only affecting, and that's only part of this skill. Okay, the other part of the skill, taking 10% less skill damage, has nothing to do with Cavs. So 35% Cav defense. All right, so from there, if you're running mixed, that's all you're mitigating. That's all you're nerfing. You're just nerfing the Cav defense bonus because you're running mixed. Okay, that's only 35% is in play to be nerfed. If you run them with Gorgo, which did exceptionally well, Gorgo, if you run him mixed with Gorgo, you're going to nerf 40% infantry attack and you're going to nerf 30% health. That's 70% of stats you're going to start nerfing, and it's still working amazing. So imagine what this thing does. So you Cav garrisons and Cav rallies, get ready, because Hector is gonna be fantastic. It will be, and everybody just hold on. Don't freak out. Don't panic when I say this. You're doing, just so we all understand, okay? You're doing 2,400 damage factor, okay? You're doing 2,800 damage factor when it comes to David. 2,800 damage factor. Massive on the target. You run him with Hector, and what does Hector do when it comes to his combo? If he's behind David as a combo commander, he's doing 2,800 damage factor. That is the highest damage factor of a garrison combo that we've ever seen. And when I say combo, of a garrison pairing that we've ever seen. It is going to do more damage to the target as a garrison than we've ever seen. All right, Tokugawa, now he's got a weird shielding effect. He's got 2,400 damage factor. Okay, Gorgo, what does she have? She's got 2,300 damage factor. So this is the highest damage output of a garrison for Cav Garrison. So Cav Garrison players, just get ready. Okay, so you're going to be able to use this guy in the garrison. In fact, you're gonna have to, because if you're running Cav mixed, like all of a sudden we've got Cav mixed garrisons, yeah, let's go, okay? And then you can run that with mixed, and if you run that mono troop type, you're just gonna do more damage. You're just gonna do more all damage. So David with Hector, same thing with as it was with infantry. David with Hector with Cav mono troop type is gonna slay. It's gonna wreck Shapurs. It's going to absolutely wreck Shapurs. The Shapur rally and the Archer rally will be DOA. You know what that stands for? Dead on arrival. And so from that standpoint, you can also run him with mix, and I bet you it's probably going to wreck the rally then too. As long as you've got like 50% or more cavalry in there, but just dump whatever else you want in there. And so that's where the versatility comes from with Hector. He's great in the field. He's great to use. He's not meta. He's not like game changing. He's not a field monster, but he's serviceable, really, really good to use in the field and then the garrison. So in the field, if you're looking at the pairings for this guy, if he's behind BQ, he was fantastic for me. If he's behind Luce, fantastic. This helps you bridge the gap. You want to go to 2 smite marches, you can use Philip, but now you can use Hector. He's a smite commander. All of a sudden, this is what this does. And let me help players out. If you have a pincer set, right? And you've got stuff like this, you got Thundering, or you've got the rare when it comes to the Thundering, okay? Let's come down here and look at it. The rare, I forgot what that was called. Rattling, that's what it is. 4% boost to smite damage dealt. When you're running BQ and you're trying to run multiple pincers, multiple smite commanders with BQ, If you run Philip, you don't get the benefit of this, okay? Because you're enhancing smite damage and you're boosting the smite damage dealt. But if you run him with Philip, Philip's not doing any smite damage. He's just enabling. So all of a sudden you're maximizing, and that's why BQ like Wallace works great if you're running Luce with Alex. But now all of a sudden you put Hector in there and you're doing even more damage than Wallace did. Like Hector is, just so everybody understands, Hector is a better smite commander than William Wallace. He just is. And so from there, a lot of serviceability if you're trying to run 2 smite marches. If you've got them, like infantry players who are garrisons already know this. They've already been running Hector in the field with BQ and Luce, and he does exceptionally well. He does exceptionally well. All of a sudden, the rattling rare inscription of 4% boost to smite damage dealt, you actually get more benefit as opposed to running Luce with Alex. Because now you got Luce with Hector, and Hector's got an instant proc. It's not as good as Alex's, but it's pretty good. And it's something, but Hector does a lot more damage. So you can run him BQ, you can run him with Luce, and when we get our next infantry smite commander, that's the next generation coming in January, it gives you even more options. Wouldn't it be nice to run 2 smite marches with BQ and the new guy, and then Luce and Hector? Like that's 4 smite commanders laying down freaking damage, y'all. And so from that gives you some options. If you're stuck in a situation where you've maxed Hector for the garrison, you've got good options. For cavalry, same thing. I ran him with Achilles, worked exceptionally well. Okay, combo commander with Achilles. He's even better with Arthur because Arthur does these combo attacks on his instant proc. All right, where's that at? Where's his instant proc? Oh yeah, it's back here. Okay, he does the instant proc, and then that instant proc just procs Hector's instant proc. And so Arthur, really, really good. So it's the same thing. Whether you're using BQ or Luce, you can run Hector with him. Using Arthur Achilles, you can run Hector with him. Hector's a combo with calves, smite with infantry. You can run him in the field. Works out really well. And if you have nowhere else to put this guy, I promise you can go put him behind archers and he'll do just fine. You go run a Chen with YSG, run Zuge with Hector. You're getting a 30% skill damage bonus that he does. Where's this at? Here. So he enhances that skill damage that Zuge does. So you have application for Hector for just about everything. He's not a field monster. He's not an instant max for the field. However, if you have the means or you're running garrisons, and you garrison players are gonna have to max this guy whether you like it or not, you can also run him in the field. Great stopgap. You want to add 2 combo and you don't have gang yet, you just run Hector. Okay, you want to run two smite marches and you want to get Alex off the field, you just run Hector. We'll get another smite commander in January. He's able to do so many different things that just enhance all the special inscriptions and everything else, whether you're running Pincer, whether you're running Delta, all of that. Okay, now listen, I get it that Arthur Phillips great, but this thing right here, Flurry, works even better with Hector because he's laying down combo damage. Philip doesn't lay down combo damage, and that's why he works. I always told people when Hector first came out and we got his skills, he's going to trade better in the field than Philip does, and he does. Now, whether he enables and enhances all your other marches, that he can't do that like Philip does, but he's going to trade better. And so with that, that's how that all works out. If you guys are going to run him in the field, I've got him here with this is one of the cool things that you've got in the leadership tree. This is whenever the counter's troops use an active skill, it gains 20% defense for 2 seconds. Really good. I've got him here as a mixed situation. If I run him in the garrison mix for whatever reason, that's kind of how you can run it. He's got the support tree. You never go more than 2 points on your rejuvenate. That's more than what you need. Okay, so if you run him just with skill damage, you're gonna run something kind of over here. You can kind of upgrade this stuff. You can upgrade this stuff. In the field as a primary, he's going to be a skill damage commander. You go get this. You go get emergency protection. Takes less incoming, reduces all incoming skill damage for 3 seconds, which is really good. You can go counterattack here, which is whatever you receive healing. That works with CY if you put CY behind him. Not too much application when it comes to Hector primary, and that's why I don't like him primary, but it's serviceable. And you can do some things when it comes to his setup, okay? So overall, Hector really surprised us in the field. He's great in the Garrison. He's great with mixed. And with that, it gives you the ideas of what happened. Now, I'll have a card at the end screen that shows you all of our results from our Kingsland fight and really the whole KvK. It goes through all that more in detail, all right? But when it comes to Hector, that's your guide. That's how he works. That's how he's gonna work with David. And it gives you everything you need to know about Hector. Instant max for regular players? Probably not. No. Instant max for infantry and cav garrisons? Absolutely yes. And while you have them, you can run them in the field however you want. Smite, combo, skill damage, doesn't matter. You can run our boy Hector, and he works out really well. If you enjoyed this video, throw a thumbs up on it, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe. And with all that being said, we love you, broskies. Leave comments down there. I love the feedback from you guys, and we will see you soon.
I don't chase trends, I ride what hits. Old war code and my cavalry kicks. Still roll strong with the Tiller's name. That ghost rides hard in the modern game. Call me Cav Simp, I don't flinch. Built by grit, don't need a clinch. What wins stays, I test and go with